Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever Diatonic Visuals Podcast. I am Drew Fortini, and today I'm here with Kate Wallen. With social distancing the new norm, we want to bring you guys in and give you guys an inside scoop of how we're getting through. But enough blabbing, cue the intro. So, Kate, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just chilling, having a good time out here.
Yeah, I feel like this quarantine is definitely shining new light on our lives and
Totally
live in a different way. But here our conversations have moved from beach volleyball to podcast. So
Exactly. Making moves in the world. I mean, we got nothing else to do. So I think it's honestly probably the best time to do it.
For sure.
But what kind of what have you been doing day to day? You've got so much time on your hands. What are you doing?
Oh gosh. I go through ebbs and flows. There's days I'm definitely productive and doing a lot using this time. And then there's definitely days where I'm doing a whole lot of nothing. But I think it's a good balance between the two. But I will say during quarantine, I've taken a lot of time to do the things that I've never made time for in the past. Like, I'm not working right now. I know some people are. You're working from home. But no, I'm not working right now. So I work for Lululemon, but we're all obviously not in the stores at the moment. So I've taken the time from day to day, it looks different. I think like some days I'm cleaning and organizing and using that time to do spring cleaning. And then I've taken the time to also better myself. So I've hopped on some online free courses for Skillshare. And then I've also done a couple of courses that my friends sent me. So I'm trying to use this time to learn and grow as an individual. I'd love to make a living doing stuff online and from home like you, and we've kind of talked about that. So growing in that with you and by myself and individually. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
No, that's exciting. I mean, honestly, everything that you just said, it all kind of I mean, what we're going for on this specific podcast, I mean, kind of bringing up like well-being and just how when you are locked at home and how when you are lonely, like, or when you don't have many people around day to day, how you can kind of keep your mind in a good place and keep moving forward. And I think everything you're doing sounds pretty solid over here. I mean, I do what I can to kind of stay sane day to day. It's obviously not easy. And I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, that it's not like easy to do. But it's definitely something that you have to be paying attention to, especially in a time like now. I'd say it's something you got to pay attention to any day. But especially in a time right now when you don't necessarily, you can't just leave the house and go like hang out with friends and kind of just get your mind off of things. It's definitely an important time to be like paying attention to your mental, physical, spiritual wellness. So I challenged you the other day to a little pro-con list of what are the pros, what are the cons of being locked in the house, and I want to hear some of your side. What your pro-con list is?
Oh gosh. Okay. Do you want to go back and forth? Should we do that? The pros or cons first? Do we want good or bad first?
So what's your first pro? I want to hear.
Okay.
I want to hear. Okay. I don't know, like specific and like big ideas.
Yeah.
When it comes to the pros. So for me, my big one, I put one big thing at the top: time. When in quarantine, the world's on pause. There is absolutely nothing to be doing. Yes, if you have a family, if you have a job, if you're an essential worker, thank you very much. I think the biggest thing with time is honestly just like how many times in your life, even up to this point and not very old, like have I gotten to a point where I'm like, oh, I just don't have enough time to do that. I don't have enough time to learn that. I don't have enough time to get that started. I don't have enough time to get that puppy. I don't have enough time to train that puppy. It's all about time. Every single thing in life comes down to time. And that for me is why I put it at, I could have made a longer list of pros, but at the same time, time covers everything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that?
No, so going off of that, I agree. And I know, and I've caught myself saying this too, is like time is a huge thing. But I always say that, I've made the excuse like, I don't have time for things. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. And it's not the fact that we don't have time, because we do have time. It's the fact, like, we all have the same 24 hours in the day, but we don't make the time for it. So it's the fact that we're able to use this time of stillness in the world to make time for those things that we've put off. And I think that we're able to now, so more than ever, kind of like choose to do those things. Like, we are able to make them a priority. Say, like, I've wanted to do the learning things that I have been doing now for a long time. And I've always used the excuse, I don't have time. But I did have the time. It's the fact that I was choosing to work out and talk to friends and do that over that. Now, the fact that I may not be going to work every day is the fact that it opens up more time in the day that allows me to do the things that I want to do. So I definitely say that time is probably the top thing that we have right now. And it's a huge blessing in disguise. Because we don't always have that. So the fact that, I don't know, sometimes people are saying we have too much time on our hands, but I guarantee you, when we get out of this quarantine, and if someone says that they have not done something that they want to do, I'm going to politely say back to them.
That is so true. That is so true. I want to hear a con. I want to hear one con, and then we're going to find the light in that one con.
Okay. Con, I would say. My con would be not being able to see people that I normally get to see. Like, I'm not able to see my coworkers that I'm friends with. I'm not able to give them a hug. I'm not able to see them face to face. And I think that, I guess maybe here I'm going with the light and the con is like, one, we're so blessed to have technology that allows us to stay connected. But like, I miss the day to day. I miss like seeing everybody, conversing with them, and having that real life face to face interaction.
No, very true. I feel like all the amount of time that you do have alone, again, just finding like another little like light in the con in that like specific thing, is like, I feel like there's a lot of people and it's very easy to run out into the day to day and not even be aware of like yourself and like what's going on around you, and not necessarily even like appreciate the things day to day as much as you should be. And that's kind of where, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. It sucks. Like, it sucks to not be able to see friends. And I'm sure a lot of people are struggling with that. But at the same time, like, now it's a period of time where you got to wake up and you got to look at yourself in the mirror every day. And it might not be something that you even thought about or you even did before. But when you wake up and you have to look yourself in the mirror, you can't continue to lie to yourself about things. And it's not even like, I'm making it sound like it's like super, super bad and everybody does it. It's that self-awareness that really only comes along in times of isolation, in my opinion, and times of just, I mean, whether it's you yourself putting yourself into isolation, or something in the world putting you into isolation, it kind of works hand in hand. Like, I mean, that's just me personally. Like, I know if I didn't have like a few months, even at this point, like I would say for 20-year-old, pretty lonely, quote unquote. Not lonely as a whole. I have friends, I have people, but I like to spend a lot of time alone, and that gives me time to reflect. And it's like, I think that's what a lot of people need and don't necessarily take for themselves, because the day-to-day is so go, 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 go.
For sure. And I think that there's a saying once that I read, and it was something along the lines of like, you are going to be the person that you spend the most time with in your life. I don't know if I botched it, but
I mean, yeah.
I botched it.
I've definitely heard that.
Yeah. And
I've definitely heard that before.
Yeah. But it's true. Like, you spend the most time with yourself. I think what it is,
you are going to be you're going to, sorry,
no, it's okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt
No.
you. But I think the saying is, there's different ones. I think there's one that's like an isolated one, but then the one that I most recently heard was like, you can only be, you as a person are going to be the average of your 5 closest friends.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing. And it's like the people, everything that you surround yourself, like it feeds your soul, it feeds who you are. So it's like you gotta have that balance of, you're going out and being social, but at the same time being able to look back in. Like,
exactly.
It's kind of.
And I think that your company, definitely. Like, you should enjoy your company because you are spending the most time with yourself. And I think now more than ever is when we're realizing it. Like, there are so many people, especially nowadays, that are living on their own, and people our age too. They've moved to a new place maybe and have a new job, and they're taking this leap and doing something big for themselves. And then this hits. And especially I have a few friends who have just moved to new places. So they haven't been able to make friends yet. So, obviously we have FaceTime and stuff, and that's what people are going for. But like, imagine being in a new place with new people and this hits and you literally are by yourself. So it's the fact that like you are with your own company. And I think that it's really important to enjoy that and love your own company. And I think that could be like a whole nother conversation, but literally like loving yourself and learning to love yourself and who you are. And,
exactly. And like some people, like I've definitely, I'll admit it. I'll be the first one to admit it that like, I don't necessarily always I can't always say that I do, but at the same time, like it's one of those things where it's like, it's a sliding scale. You can look out and you can, especially with social media and stuff nowadays, you can go on to social media. You look at my Instagram page, you would have no idea half the stuff that I deal with, just because that's not what I present. That's not what people present. Now, not that it's like not honest. It's just kind of what we've kind of created for ourselves here. And that's something that I definitely think like needs to be like reckoned with like internally. And you need to like really like look at that for a sec. Like, and especially too, things that I've noticed like within society is like you can, now I say society's not all bad. Like we're talking cons here on our con list. So that's kind of why we're going this way in the conversation. But I feel like it's like one of those things where when you grow up, like the older and older you get, the more and more people kind of expect you to be on that straight and narrow, like don't be weird, don't be like, but that's all part of like enjoying yourself. Like if I'm driving down the road in my car, I'm 21 years old, but you bet your butt I am jumping around and being like I'm 12. Like that's just something that I'm going to personally do.
Head out the window.
Exactly. Like panting out the window like a dog. Like I don't care how old I get, I will continue to do that. Like that's just something that feeds me like wind in my hair.
You're going to be like an 86-year-old man at some point with your head out the window, panting like a dog. People are going to be like,
I will
who the heck is this old man?
I will be. Give it 60 years and that will be coming to an Instagram near you.
Wow, I look forward to that. That's the kind of stuff we need in life.
Oh yeah.
So I know, did you want to go off of anything else? But I feel like I want to hear a con from you or a pro. Let's hear a pro. That's what I meant. I want to hear a pro from you.
You want to hear a pro from me? A big pro for me as well, which can kind of come back into the same idea of time, but I'll get a little more specific with it. But the pro for me has been the fact that the world is on pause has given me sort of that. I get like super, super anxious day to day, just about like people, like there's people out there moving further than I am. And if I have a bad day, I'm kind of like putting myself even more down because somebody else had a good day. And that's just kind of how I work, how I push myself. Yes, you could argue that it's not healthy for you, but personally, a way that I have found that I like to live gets like, I'm super goal oriented, super like, I just kind of have to be pushing towards something at all times. Now with that, the world is on pause. Nobody's doing anything. Like majority of people aren't doing anything. So every day that I'm waking up, going out for a run, eating well, putting like only good things into my body, learning a ton of stuff. Like I was given that time because I don't have the day-to-day corporate videos and that sort of media stuff going on, that I'm allowed, like it allows me time to focus back on myself and get myself even healthier than I was going into it. Mm-hmm. That's why I kind of like, I look at that as a pro, for sure. And I mean, even with my business, like Kate and I weren't talking until the quarantine hit. And like, I was kind of sitting around thinking of my options, thinking of people like within my network that I've met and like wanted to reach out to, just at the time, didn't have the time to do it. And that's kind of, I mean, I was thinking going through Snapchats, going through that, saw Kate's name. I was like, oh man, like I haven't hit her up in a while. Like I need to definitely text her, see what's going on. Well, blessed by this, but we both happen to have similar mindsets. And a few weeks later, we're hopping on here and making a podcast. So, but yeah, so I mean, you could kind of like, you name it, and I would probably consider a pro. I don't really. Now, that's also because of the life I've created for myself and the lifestyle I'm trying to kind of live. And working for myself, being an entrepreneur, like that gives me more time than a lot of people because I don't have to wake up and go to work at 9 o'clock in the morning and come home at 5. That's just something I don't have to do. If I want to take a whole day off, well, I can call up my clients and be like, hey, today's not the day. We're going to do it another day. And it's just kind of like having so much time can really help kind of clear your mind and open up kind of the possibilities of what you can do and allow you to actually go do it instead of sitting and thinking about it. Because I mean, I think I made a video of this at one point, but one of my videos has the quote, life is what happens when you plan for the future. And that has always resonated with me in a huge way. And it's just kind of like, you can sit around and just kind of do what other people are having you do, or you can take a stand and say, this is my life. I get one of them and I'm going to make the best of it. Sure. So that's why I kind of look at a lot of it as like pros, obviously the cons being you can't hang out with people and stuff. But now me personally, again, I like day to day, I sit in my office and that's what I do. Like I'll go out and film, but I'm working with people. And so my social interactions are business work related instead of necessarily just socializing.
Totally. I mean, I think that everybody can come up with a different pros and cons list because everybody has different lifestyles. So, you know, like I remember my sister at the beginning of this, she was like, she's definitely a homebody. She loves laying in bed watching movies. And I remember her car was in the shop and I went to pick her up when her company closed down and she was coming home from work to quarantine time. And all she said to me, she throws her hands in the air and she's like, I am going to thrive during this time. She's like, this is what I live for. So she was, but like, here's the thing. It adjusts and it molds and it adapts because 2 weeks into it, she was miserable. And I mean, I think like the important thing to note and realize is like, there are pros and cons to this, but like what's a pro one day might be a con the next day. Like I think that we all have different mental capacities and likes and needs and wants. And I think that does change over the time. So like 2 weeks later, she was like, I'm over this. I want to see my friends. Like I'm not happy. And you can tell like people just mope throughout the day and here I am too. It's like I'm home and I feel like I'm going crazy sometimes. Like sometimes I love spending time with my family And I we play games, we talk, we have dinner together every night, which we've never been able to do. And now I am sitting with you doing a podcast in a car in my garage because my family's too loud and I need to escape, and my dog's barking, and my mom just came out and waved to you through a car window. What?
That was awesome. I was not expecting it, but that definitely just made my day. Middle of the podcast, just met her mom for the first time. So hey,
that's hilarious. What the heck? Mothers these days. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like there definitely, like, people listening to this might have different pros and cons, and what we say is a pro might be a con for another person, which is important to note too.
Exactly. And like, there's absolutely like nothing wrong with that. Like, everybody deals with that change. Everybody deals with like everything differently. Like like, even though we can share, like, all that I can really share is my perspective on things. Like, I only see out of one set of eyes day to day. Like, my perspective ain't perfect. Like, I'm sure it's like everybody's is pretty flawed. It's like, what's actually real. But the big thing with that is being able to like take a little bit of what like one person said and like adapt it to fit yourself. And that's something too that I think like in general becomes very important, like down the road, when it comes to like seeing other people's perspectives. Emotionally, I feel like you're always going to have like your one emotional perspectives. There's going to be things that people say completely like piss you off. Then there's going to be like, if you can take those times though, and kind of take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, the emotions are going to be there. You might be angry that they said it, but then like step into their shoes and look at it the same exact way. It sucks. But sometimes, again, it's you see things and you learn things just about different perspectives, and it all kind of every little thing that you do like that feeds into who you are as a human being, and feeds into what you know, what you do, the type of personality you have, like all important things, in my opinion, to kind of keep. I mean, stay sane. Like. Stay sane out there. It's a quarantine, yo.
Yes, but you know what? Like, as I started to say those things and then hear your response, like, I think that like that's what these things are for. That's what podcasts are for. That's what different people's perspectives are for, is to Definitely. Shine light on different perspectives for people. So like, even though people may not agree on like what is a pro for us, might be a con for them, like I said earlier, but to maybe say like, put that in someone's head, like it could be a pro, and like there could be a blessing in disguise to some of these cons. So I think that like, I don't know, I just came to this self-realization during this podcast, and that's something that like I need too. So
that's what we're talking about. That's how we want this thing to run. I mean, that kind of brings me to another question is, obviously everybody's going to deal with their quarantine time differently. Some people might go out and just do what they were doing. Some people might be terrified and scared, sitting inside all day. But like, let's say you do, like, obviously the goal would be to not really get anxious and get scared. But frankly, we're human beings. It happens. Like that's who we are. What happens. So what kind of things do you do personally? If you do start to get into one of those, like if you're overthinking, getting a little anxious about what's kind of going on in the world, because it raises a lot of questions too. You're wondering, all right, like economy wise, like what's the economy going to look like after? Am I going to have enough money to put food on the table for my family? Am I going to, like, for me, that looks completely different. But like being able to see all of those different things that people might be worrying about, what kind of advice can you personally give? That's kind of like, what do you do? Like, if you do start to think that way?
Yeah, I think that one, like you do find yourself going through these thoughts, you know, like we don't know. I think Wisconsin just extended their shelter in place. We don't know if ours is going to be extended. Like I think that there is this fear and anxiousness in the unknown, and that's natural and it'll come. But I think that what I do when I start to think that way is like, one, I'm like, I can't worry about the future right now because it is unknown. So I try to remind myself to be present and to focus what I can control. And that's what I kind of do with most things in life. Is I feel like there are so many things out of our control that we worry about. And I'm not saying that it's not real and it's unnecessary, but at the same time, like in terms of like your well-being in the moment, it can be it can do you wrong in worrying about the future and worrying about what you can't control. So I think that the more important thing is like, yes, I can't control that. And I'm thinking about all these things that can affect me and that do affect me because of that. But what I can do is that I can sit down and I can write what I am able to control and how am I going to control that in order to calm my mind, to ease my mind, and to work on myself. So a lot of what I've been doing, like I said earlier, is like I come up with a list. I kind of like brain dump. So say I'm working on something or I'm cleaning the house and I realize that there are things that I've wanted to do and they pop into my head. Instead of like continuously thinking about them and worrying about them, I write them down. Like, I'm like, oh, I wanted to take this class. Oh, I wanted to FaceTime this person. I haven't checked in on them in a while. Like, how are they doing? Because I don't know about you, but me as a person, I feel like I take on other people too, other people's feelings. And like, I worry about them and I want to make sure my friends and family are doing well. So like, instead
100% do the same thing.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. It's natural, but I feel like it's like caring about your family and friends. Like it can be easy to get caught up in you worrying about yourself too, that you don't take the time to reach out to them. And I think that in reaching out to other people and seeing how they're doing, it almost helps you cope too. Like, one, you see that other people are in the same boat as you. Two, you have like a peace of mind that people you care about are doing well, or you're reaching out to them and at least checking in. So I would say that when I feel down and anxious or worried, I pick up a phone and I have a list of people that I know that I've wanted to reach out to because I've written it down. And like, I kind of go through that list just to make sure that I don't forget about people I love. And so I do that. And then I think that self-development in any way, shape, or form, what that looks like to anyone. Like for me, it's learning and doing the classes. For some people, it might be cleaning and like decluttering and kind of like, I feel like, I don't know if this is the same for you, but when I have a clear space at home, like my mind is clearer. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
So like when I go through, so like when I go through my stuff and I'm like, all right, today I feel like my brain's just foggy and I'm going to clean my space. I'm going to get rid of stuff. Like it just takes like almost like weight off of your chest. So little things like that, I guess, just filling my time with productive things. But also I say that again molds and forms and shifts. Cause one day I was just, like I said, I'm quarantining with my family right now. So sometimes it just means being alone and going for a run or getting outside for a walk. Or one time I'm like, oh, my car hasn't been driven in a while and I need to get out. So I'm just going to drive. And I didn't even know where I was going to. I was just like, oh, I'm going to take a right here and a left here. And I think that it's important to just do those things and be still and pause in that aspect too. Cause I feel like, I know I keep rambling and I'm sorry, but
no, you're good. I like the conversation.
Yeah, but
definitely like that idea of driving. I got a game for you guys though. Every time you pull up to like an intersection, you got to flip a coin. Have you ever done that one?
No,
right
I've
or left,
heard of it.
flip a coin. And then you can go for like as long as you want. Some people are scared to like do it. But we might have to hop in a car at some point and start flipping coins and see where we end up, because that's definitely something like it gets kind of like training almost in a way, like, because a lot of people like it's all about the destination, but sometimes like, well, I would say the most important part is the journey. Like a lot of people would say the same thing, but it's kind of like to learn that there is no destination can be a very terrifying thing for some people, where instead you look at it as like, you enjoy the heck out of making that right because you got a heads, like, and then the next one you get a tails, you enjoy that because you're like, you don't know where you're gonna end up. It's just kind of a fun little game. But I definitely think you have a pretty solid idea for what you do to kind of help yourself. And obviously, again, looks different for everybody. Like, it's not going to be, like some people, like I personally, I hate mind dumps. If I mind dump, that list then stresses me out. Like, I just can't do that. So instead, for me, it's more about like, I know that those thoughts are always going to be there. Mm-hmm. It's not really something like, it's something like, everybody's got them. It's just something that I think are going to kind of be there for a while, but it's about like you said, getting present again and doing things that kind of like help you realize where you are and kind of get into that flow of just life where you're not thinking, you're just doing. Mm-hmm. And I personally think that for me, that has to be done in a very physical way. I can't, if I'm sitting at the computer, if I have like an idea for a video or something, like that's why I love to create, because it's just getting lost in a world for a little bit, and I can kind of go as long as I want on that. But at the same time, like if I didn't have like the mouse to be clicking and the keyboard to like be working with, like just the thoughts drive me nuts. And that's where sometimes I kind of slow myself down and start to like go out for a run, do like you said, clean up around the house, like do laundry, do just things with your hands, things that you enjoy to do. And all in all, I think that gets you closer to being as sane as possible. Again, it's not an easy time. Like there's still days that I'm going to be a mess. Like it's just not fun. But for the most part, it's about like, and that's what I think in general about life is like, it's kind of, you get this big tank of happiness and you're not happy if you're not like, it's not one or the other. It's not like if you're not happy, you're sad. It's like you got to slide and scale. And if you want to, like, you got to do different things every day to kind of like add to that. Now, like everything, different for everybody. Things that I like to do aren't going to be stuff that people listening to this necessarily want to do. Like that's just how that's going to go. But I definitely think like all in all, I love the things that you kind of have. That's why we actually that's why I personally wanted to bring you onto this whole thing, because you do a whole lot better job at that whole balance aspect in life than I do.
I wouldn't say sure. Better. I would say.
Well, we could argue about that, but that's fair. That's fair.
But I think that even during this time, or like realizing that we do things differently, it's just becoming self-aware of how you run. And I think that without all the distractions from the day-to-day life, like if people truly kind of like started paying attention to what makes them tick, what makes them feel certain ways. Hey, maybe I am feeling down today. Like you don't just feel down, and like, yes, there are like hormonal, chemical things that can cause that, but I am like a firm believer that there are things we can do in the day to like, or say maybe I did something, or I did a craft, or I did a specific thing that brought me happiness. Like it's just like kind of like being aware of, oh, I ate my lunch outside today and it was sunny out and I feel great. And sometimes people go through great days and maybe not even realize that that sitting in the sun and being grateful and sitting in this warm sunshine while they're eating a good meal, it can definitely turn your day around. And I think that like just paying attention to those little things during this time is super important, and we can carry that with us even when the world starts to become normal. Exactly. Whatever that looks like.
Exactly. Whatever this new normal is going to look like. No, yeah. I definitely really like that.
What would you like to take with you from this quarantine back into life as it starts to pick back up again?
There's probably a few things I want to take. I definitely think kind of the closeness, I'm trying to think how I want to word this. I think like the communication level with people that I have really been that I have been talking to, and like even people that I've just started talking to and like I'm going to continue talking to, like keeping that level of communication open. Just because in my opinion, like with the quarantine, like it definitely made me like we were talking about earlier. It definitely made me like need to reach out to more people, because I am sitting here like alone some days, and like there's people on my list that I've wanted to call for a while that I just haven't made that call. But I definitely like the idea of keeping up with that, and really pushing, not only obviously there's some like physical stuff day to day I've been doing that I don't normally do. Like if I've got a full day of work, working out's the last thing on my mind. I personally just do it. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But definitely just kind of like the whole, all the balance aspects of life that I've kind of had to bring into this quarantine to keep myself sane day to day. From waking up, just nothing else in your mind, just eat some breakfast. So there's some days I'll blow off breakfast. Now, not the worst thing ever, but at the end of the day, you do that enough times, it's going to start to affect you. And now that I am like eating breakfast every day and making sure I put down enough calories in the morning, I used to be kind of foggy by noon, 1 o'clock. Like, again, not a big deal. I could still go out. I could still work. I could still do the things that I had to do, but I just feel better doing them now that I've been kind of keeping that nice balanced lifestyle between physical, mental, spiritual, like really paying attention to each aspect. Because each one's just as important, even when you got to go out and make money, even when you got to go get the kids, even when you got like anything that you're doing, just because like you got to have like your time to focus on yourself. And that's kind of I'd say that's the big thing that I want to take out of this. In general, I mean, I'd be a hell of a lot healthier person if I take that out. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
What about you?
I like that.
I'm curious.
Gosh, I feel like I want to. Right now, I'm kind of like learning. So I've taken all these classes and I'm learning. I'm kind of utilizing this time to do the learning. And I like practiced some of the things that I've learned, but I would love to take the things that I've learned out into my normal life when the time comes. So I think that's like my biggest thing right now. Because I feel like I am at this huge learning point in my life. Like I know I want to learn more about like what you do and like the entrepreneurship and just different takeaways. And I think that during this time, like being an entrepreneur, I'm not going to say with everybody, but like you work from home and you do your video editing from home. And I think that there's a lot to learn from this whole time at home, because like this all came out in the people that work from home. Like there's been people who have been forced to shift and work at home, and it's a whole nother world. Like there are distractions at home. It's very, very difficult. Yes. And I think that like the new respect for that, and in knowing that like it's kind of the lifestyle that I want in terms of entrepreneurship, I know that it's something that I'm going to have to learn. So, I would love to take away little things like brain dumping. I know it may not work for you, but for me, you're like finding things that work for me in order to be productive at home, in order for me to be productive with the lifestyle and getting work done. I think this is a huge like almost like a trial run or like practicing for myself. So, I would love to take that with me regardless of, like continue to work for Lululemon and balance that with doing work at home as well. So it's been hard, needless to say. Respect for you.
Hey, it's not always perfect though. It's like, exactly like you said about distractions. Like I would love to say that I sit at my desk for 8 hours a day, not distracted, just working hard. But I'd be lying to you. Like, I mean, there's just, and it's not that like, obviously not that I don't like work hard. Like I like to think that I work hard, but it looks different for everybody who really, I don't know. But it's definitely something that like, obviously it gives you those freedoms, but then it also takes like a level of like self-discipline, and like you have like, there's a lot of stuff like within business that you don't want to do. The video part, love it. Creating, it's just all, I mean, that's the best job in the world, in my opinion. But then you have the sides where I got to take care of finance as well. I don't like taking care of money. That's not something I enjoy doing, but I still got to do it. I got to do like write contracts and talk to lawyers and talk like all of that behind the scenes stuff that needs to be done. It's all stuff that obviously like you can like, you're working towards something. I'm working towards a vision. I've got an idea of kind of what we're trying to build here. But it takes like that. You got to, again, self-awareness. You got to be able to stop yourself when you get into like a little bit of bad habits, because it's going to happen, and reset and be like, here we go. Moving forward. Here's what I got to do. Head down, go. But I definitely think that's a skill that like, if I got a job somewhere, I was just working somewhere, I don't have to think for myself day to day. I don't have to, somebody tells me what I have to do and when I have to be there. So for me, I love to have to think for myself. If I don't wake up and I don't hold myself accountable, I don't make money. I don't put food on the table. Like that sort of self-reliance is something that personally I think has grown me crazy amounts as a person. For sure. Yeah. Just kind of like over the years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Respect though. But I feel like this time too is like the ability for people to pause. It's like a good reminder that it's okay to take a day. And like, I think that with this time, I feel like I should be using all of it to be productive and learn. And I shouldn't take any time off because I am given this opportunity to use it. That I feel like when I do take time to relax or take a break, that I'm doing something wrong and I feel guilty. And I think that it's okay. And it's a good reminder to realize, you know, that it is okay to pause. Like it is okay to feel unproductive at times. And yeah, I know we're all human, and like some people push through that, and some people need to take the break. And I think that it's definitely okay to realize that breaks are okay, especially with the flexibility that we have right now to give ourselves grace.
I mean, if somebody was actually working for 12, 14, 16 hours a day, mad props, because if that's you out there, like congratulations, because even some of the most successful people don't work those kind of hours. So if you're doing that, mad props. But that's just something I know.
Some people do though.
It's crazy.
I feel like the fact that some people do makes me feel guilty. Like it makes me feel like if they can do it, why can't I? And then when I don't do it, it's like, I don't know if you've ever read this book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Pardon my French.
I have not. I'm writing that down right now.
I was either gonna tell you during this podcast or after. You need to read it. They talk about the fee, and it's kind of like points like that have been brought up a couple of times. Like, you know, earlier you were talking about how people only post good things on social media, and like sometimes seeing those things can make you feel bad. And so and like you can obviously read about it. He goes more into depth, but it's called the feedback loop from hell. And so basically it starts off, say like, I'm having a bad day. And then say like, I feel bad for myself for having a bad day. And then I feel bad because I'm like, why do I feel bad for having those feelings? And then you get more mad about it. And then you see other people living good lives, and then you're mad about it. And you're like, this is so stupid. But like, even that example of like saying that it's so stupid is getting mad at yourself and being frustrated about it in general. So like, it's just like this loop that you realize isn't happening. And all of a sudden when you do, it's just like, I can cut it off right here. Like I don't need to feel bad. I don't have to continue to let this spiral downward. I need to realize that, one, maybe people don't show the bad things. Like, and I'm not saying people don't always show the bad things, like, but it is natural to, like, nobody's going to post pictures of them crying and stuff,
Exactly. But everybody does. And if you tell me you don't cry, you need help. Like, sort of a thing. That's exactly it. Like, everybody's going to have those bad days. And that's kind of, I feel like where like, I really want to go, like, with this podcast. I feel like we did a good, like a decent job. I mean, it's also our first one. We'll see how it kind of comes together, but it's just kind of like staying honest and staying real, with the world, with ourselves. Like, if you can be real to the world, you can be real to yourself, but you have to be real to yourself first before you can just throw stuff out there and be real to the world, because that comes across like that's very, very difficult to get out if you're not already real with yourself. Let's talk about like what the plan is here, what the idea is for this Diatonic Visuals thing. I can explain like some of my side. But I kind of want to give people like a little bit of a background, like kind of what you're bringing to the table, kind of like what ideas you have, kind of where I was thinking. I'll start since I started this company. Yeah. So 3 years ago, I started Diatonic Visuals. It started out as Delta F Photo. There's probably, you guys can probably still find stuff on the internet of Delta F Photo way back in the day. But essentially I started this, originally, I was just filming whatever I could get my hands on. Most of the work I was doing for free. It ended up being a lot of like music performances, and I was shooting with Chicago music festivals for a little bit, and doing a lot of work with them. By the way, shout out Lana and Jerry over there at Chicago Music Festivals. Thank you so much for everything you've done. But essentially started out doing just videos of music, and then I kind of got into a little more of I wanted to give back more. Like I would do all these videos, and yeah, it's cool. You got these artists on stage, and I love doing them. Like we're still going to continue to do music videos and performances and interviews, etc. But it's going to be, I'm trying to shift my focus to be more about the lifestyle that feeds what is being created within the videos. Now with that, I'm going to be adding travel, and this is where Kate kind of comes in, because she's much better at doing it, like actually getting out and doing this stuff than I've been. But my idea was to kind of add travel and fitness and nutrition and a bunch of kind of lifestyle aspects into it to kind of, I mean, take it, leave it, whatever you guys want to do with it. Like it's your life, not ours, but we want to give you guys something that's kind of, that could be useful if you take parts of it out, to add to your own life. Little piece of advice here and there, like cool. If you don't, like I said, it's no big deal. But I want Kate to talk on kind of the lifestyle side that she brings to this whole company, this whole idea, and why I personally find so much value in what she does.
Oh gosh.
But so like what I mean, I'd go broad topics first. Like what broad topics what broad topics are you thinking as to what feeds that definition lifestyle? It doesn't necessarily need to be what we're living right now, because that's part of the whole thing too. It's about us growing as people too. And like, that's why I personally started this business, so I could actually physically see my progress as a human being, like over the course of years. So I guess what's the definition lifestyle for you, and what are you trying to kind of live?
Yeah. So I would probably say, like, I think that fitness and nutrition is important. It'll always be there. I think it's very scientific. There's a lot of science background goes into like what you should be doing fitness wise, what you should be doing nutrition wise. And I live that lifestyle. I think it's very important, but that's all factual, that's all like, and granted, it's not cookie cutter. It's not cookie cutter for everybody. It's not one size fits all. It's more trial and error with that stuff and figuring out what works for you and what you like. So I think that just kind of sharing that, like, that what I do may not be what's for everybody, but like moving your body is very important, and eating healthy is very important to fuel and live that healthy lifestyle. So I think that, like, I'd love to bring that aspect to the table in terms of, yes, it is about fitness and nutrition, but it's also about doing what feels right for you in that realm. And then going off of that, like, I think that there's our overall well-being. And I think, like, that's what we want to capture here. And there's different branches. So I say, like, you have your fitness, you have your nutrition, you have your mental well-being, and your spiritual well-being. And I think that kind of just finding what those are for you and bringing awareness to those. I think that nowadays more than ever, like people show the fitness and nutrition, but I think people can attest to it too, is like seeing that on social media. And like, especially when you get in this little click frenzy of like following all these fitness people, then like you're seeing that, but like there is a whole mental aspect to it too. Like, should I be doing that? And then body image and, just, I think that like there's a lot more mental in it that people realize. And I think that it's confronting that too. And finding that balance between everything. Like, do I want to work out 4 hours a day and eat only healthy things, never give my soul food that it needs? Because there's definitely a thing called soul food, and it's the chocolate chip cookies and mac and cheese.
Oh yeah.
But like, no, I think there is a balance of the mental and fitness and nutrition, and then coming into like the whole mental and spiritual thing too is like, what do you want to do with your life? Like, what is your purpose, and finding that. And I'd love to bring light to different topics and awareness so that people can find out what that is for them. Because I think that, like I said, there's so many things on social media. There's so many societal standards in going to school, getting it done in 4 years, and having a job straight out of college, and then working that, finding someone, marrying them, having a family. And it's like, there's this societal standard of some sort of timeline that people have, and it's become a thing, but it doesn't have to be that for you. And I think that we need to break down these walls of what success looks like to people, because your success is finding what you want to do and what fuels your soul, not of what the community thinks. And I think that I could go into way more depth, but like with travel and stuff like that, like we want to get out and explore the world. There's so many different perspectives and cultures, and Mother Nature is freaking beautiful, Exactly. So
That's
I don't
so
know.
true.
I'd love to just bring all of that.
I like that. And like, especially too, the other thing that I kind of want to like add to that is there are so like, obviously if you grow up in one place, even if you move around a bunch, like your perspective is only in those places. How much of the world do people never see that there might be something within different cultures that actually works for you, that actually works to feed your soul, to kind of do different, like help your mental well-being, help, like it might be something out of the streets of India that they cook up on the side of the road. Well, you're not gonna get that here in the US, just cultural differences. That's how it goes. But if you do go over there and immerse yourself, not as a like a vacationer, not going to the resorts, but really like embracing culture, that in my opinion is when you can really start to learn like what things work. And now I'm huge into like the natural medicine, and kind of like, before I'm going to take a pill to fix something, I want to make sure that everything in my body naturally is lined up the way it should be before I take that pill. I'm not saying the pills don't work, because I mean, out of anybody, I've taken plenty of pills in my lifetime. But it's kind of one of those things that if I had everything that my personal being needed, I shouldn't, theoretically in my head, shouldn't need to take any medicine for anything. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where, I mean, down the road, we, like, as of right now, I mean, and not many people, I don't think, can truly say that they have experienced and figured out what makes them tick down to the food they eat and what they do day to day. And that's kind of, I mean, you said it perfectly, but I kind of think that's like the culmination of like what we're trying to figure out and bring. It's almost like it's our own adventure that we're now trying to bring you guys on. Like, it's just kind of something that we'll share along the way. Like, if something works. If it doesn't, well, we'll try to find something that does work for you. Like, that's kind of the premise of all of this. And along the way, of course, making cool videos and inspirational stuff. And we're both writers over here, so we'll be throwing you guys some little writing pieces here and there, just kind of stuff. I mean, hey, all
to
stuff
resonate
to feed your soul, like resonate with, like that's the.
Yeah, I think that just kind of like overall is like becoming aware of it all and becoming aware of like how it is all correlated to your well-being, like how each little piece does fuel the bigger picture. And I think that, like, yes, I like take it and leave it. Like, some days I live it. Literally yesterday, my mom made a whole batch of cookies and I think I ate 12 of them. And like,
And what time did you wake up today?
11:53 a.m.
Exactly. And we all have our days. Like, it's not perfect, but like, that's the thing. Like, it's about aware, like,
and I know that's probably why I slept in and I was up late and eating sugar. And yes, I know that it's not always great for you, but I'm aware of it and it's okay. Exactly. And I chose to do it to my body.
Exactly. And that's like that's the place to start. You have to know you're doing it before you can fix it. And like you said, you're not going to be perfect every day, but you got to do what you can.
Exactly.
So thanks for watching, everybody, or
listening.
I do videos. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be coming back to you guys with a new one at some point here. We're going to get off this podcast and figure that out for ourselves. And then, yeah, thanks for listening.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Peace out, guys.